Welcome to Quiz Time. I'm your quiz master, Sean, and I've got 100 questions for you about the 1950s. So let's see what you know, what you remember, what we've learned, and let's have a lot of fun doing it. It keeps us young, you know. All right, let's start this off with question number 1. What was the 1950s better known as? The Roaring 50s, the Glamorous 50s, or the Fabulous 50s? The 50s, better known as the Fabulous 50s. Which of these countries gained its independence in 1954? The Ivory Coast, Vietnam, or Austria? Which one gained independence in 54? And that country would be Vietnam. Who sang the 1958 hit song Rock Around the Clock? Was it Elvis Presley? Was it Jerry Lee Lewis? Or was it Bill Haley? And that hit was sung by Bill Haley and his Comets. What was American actor James Dean's middle name? Monty, Byron, or Bradley? James Dean's middle name, well, that was Byron. Who took over the presidential seat in the United States in 1953? Was it Dwight D. Eisenhower? Was it Harry S. Truman? Or was it Franklin D. Roosevelt taking the helm of the United States government in 53? That was Dwight D. Eisenhower. Name the pair of scientists that discovered the DNA double helix. Was it Watson and Crick? Was it Wallace and Holmes? Or was it Marie and Pierre Curie? That was discovered by Watson and Crick. In what year was the DNA double helix discovered? 1950, 1953, or 1957? The DNA double helix. That was discovered in 1953. In what U.S. state was actor Marlon Brando born? New York, Philadelphia, or Nebraska? Marlon Brando, where was he born? Brando was born in Nebraska. In what year did the Korean War end? 1952, 1953, or 1954? When did that war come to an end? The Korean War ended in 1953. What was the name of the first satellite to be launched into space? Was it Landsat? Was it Sputnik? Or was it Apollo? The first satellite to be launched into space was Sputnik. True or false? Alaska and Hawaii both became U.S. states in the 1950s. Is that true or is it false? And that would be true. Which of these medical procedures first took place in 1950? The kidney transplant, the hair transplant, or laser eye surgery? Which one first took place in the 50s? That would be the kidney transplant. When did rock and roll officially begin? June 19, 1950, May 4, 1951, August 7, 1952. And yes, we can put an exact date to it. Rock and roll officially began May 4, 1951. Which beloved dog first entered pop culture in 1950? Was it Lassie? Was it Scooby-Doo? Or was it Snoopy? First entering pop culture in 1950, it was Snoopy. What was the name of the European military pact signed in 1955? The Atomic Pact, the NATO Pact, or the Warsaw Pact? European Military Act in 55? That was the Warsaw Pact. In what year did Joseph Stalin die? 1952, 1953, or did he pass away in 1955? Stalin died in 1953. And what was the cause of his death? Infectious angina, cerebral hemorrhage, or did he die of a gunshot wound? The cause of Stalin's death was cerebral hemorrhage, a stroke. Marlon Brando won the Academy Award for Best Actor in which 1954 movie? On the Waterfront, A Streetcar Named Desire, or The Wild Ones? It was for On the Waterfront. For what crime were Ethel and Julius Rosenberg executed in 1953? For a bank robbery? Were they executed for espionage? Or was it for murder? The Rosenbergs were executed for espionage. Spies. What commodity was deemed illegal in the novel Fahrenheit 451? Alcohol? Television? Or were books illegal in Fahrenheit 451? It was books. Which hobby first became popular in the 1950s? Model building, hula hooping, or the Rubik's Cube? The hobby that first became popular in the 50s was model building. Who wrote the novel The Fellowship of the Rings in 1954? Was it Robert E. Howard? Was it J.R.R. Tolkien? Or was it George R.R. Martin? Who wrote The Fellowship of the Rings? Well, of course it was J.R.R. Tolkien. Who else? What vaccine was first rolled out in 1955? The smallpox vaccine, the MMR vaccine, or was it the polio vaccine? That first vaccine in 55 was the polio vaccine. What popular amusement park opened in California in 1955? Universal Studios, Disneyland, or was it SeaWorld? Popular amusement park in 55 that opened was? That was Disneyland. Which country won the FIFA World Cup in Switzerland in 1954? Was it Germany, Italy, or was it Brazil? The FIFA World Cup, 54. That was Germany. What was the name of Jack Kerouac's most well-known novel? Jack Kerouac's most well-known novel? That was On the Road. Wham-O created which popular children's toy in the 1950s? The yo-yo, the pogo stick, or was it the frisbee? Wham-O created which popular children's toy? It was the frisbee. Leonard Bernstein created which musical in 1957? Was it Guys and Dolls? Was it West Side Story? Or was it Cats? Bernstein's 57 musical was West Side Story. Which pop group sang the song The Great Pretenders? The Platters, the Coasters, or the Flamingos? The Great Pretender. I love that song. That was sung by the Platters. I feel a night of nostalgia music coming on. Which of these was invented in the 1950s? The audio cassette, the credit card, or the microwave? Invented in the 1950s. Of those three, it was the credit card that was invented in the 1950s. Which of these fast food chains started in the 1950s? Was it Burger King? Was it KFC? Or was Starbucks started in the 1950s? That would be Burger King. Is Starbucks considered fast food? The first color television broadcast took place in what year? 1951, 1955, or 1959? The first color television broadcast took place when? It was in 1951. I didn't know it. I didn't have color television until the 70s. Which of these songs is not from the 1950s? Tutti Frutti, Mr. Sandman, or The Twist? And the one not from the 50s is The Twist. The catchphrase, "Honey, I'm home," is from which TV show? The Honeymooners, I Love Lucy, or The Real McCoys? Honey, I'm home. That's from I Love Lucy, or Honey, I'm home. Who did Queen Elizabeth II succeed as the ruler of England in 1952? Edward VIII, Charles II, or George VI? Who did Queen Elizabeth II succeed? It was her dad, George VI. Which actress made their silver screen debut in the 1953 movie Roman Holiday? Audrey Hepburn, Marilyn Monroe, or was it Grace Kelly? Making their debut in '53 was Audrey Hepburn. Who won the first ever televised Miss America pageant in 1954? Miss New Jersey, Miss California, or Miss Atlanta? Who won the first ever Miss America pageant? It was Miss California. What was the name given to Rosa Parks' famous political stand? The Montgomery bus boycott, the right to refusal, or the civil rights bus strike? That famous political stand was called the Montgomery bus boycott. Oprah Winfrey was born in 1954. What state was she born in? Mississippi, Michigan, or Missouri? Oprah Winfrey is originally from Mississippi. Who was the world heavyweight boxing champion from 1952 to 1956? Was it Floyd Patterson? Was it Sonny Liston? Or was it Rocky Marciano? It was Rocky Marciano. Undefeated, I might add. Who did Marilyn Monroe marry in 1954? Clark Gable, George DiMaggio, or Tony Curtis? Specifically, in 1954, Marilyn Monroe married Joe DiMaggio. Name the two tech geniuses both born in 1955. Two tech geniuses. What a coincidence that is, eh? Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, both in '55. Name the genre-defining sci-fi movie starring Leslie Nielsen. War of the Worlds, Forbidden Planet, or It Came from Outer Space. Forbidden Planet starred Leslie Nielsen. How did artist Jackson Pollock die? Did he die by suicide? Did he die by cardiac arrest? Or did he die as a result of a car accident? He died as a result of a car accident. Who did actress Grace Kelly marry in one of the most famous weddings of all time? The Prince of Denmark, the Prince of Monaco, or the Prince of Egypt? Who did Grace Kelly marry? She married the Prince of Monaco. What was the name of Elvis Presley's mansion? Was it Graceland? Was it Rockland? Or was it Neverland? Elvis Presley's mansion, they call it Graceland. Madonna, Michael Jackson, and several other singers were all born in which year? 1956, 1957, or 1958? They were born in 1958. What is the name of the space program that started in 1958? Roscosmos, NASA, or Skylab? The name of the space program that started in 1958. NASA started in 1958. What was the name of Vladimir Nabokov's controversial novel? Lolita, Caroline, or Anna Karenina? And he wrote Lolita. Name the 1959 toy that soon became an icon for young girls. Cindy, Wendy, or Barbie? Which one of those is an icon? Well, of course, it's the Barbie doll. Which movie held the record for most Academy Awards up until 1997? The Ten Commandments, Ben-Hur, or Rear Window? And that would be Ben-Hur. Who wrote the novel The Catcher in the Rye? Harper Lee, J.D. Salinger, or Ayn Rand? The Catcher in the Rye was written by J.D. Salinger. When a body meets a body coming through the rye. The Guggenheim Museum opened in 1959 in which U.S. state? New York, Seattle, or California? The Guggenheim Museum in the U.S., you'll find that in New York. Which groundbreaking comic book hero made their debut in 1959? The Green Lantern, Batman, or Supergirl? Which heroes began in 59? That was Supergirl in 59. Kermit the Frog made his debut in 1955. What was the name of his creator? Jim Henson, Phil Tippett, or Dave Barkley?
Kermit the Frog. He was created by Jim Henson.
What was the nickname given to the generation born after World War II? The Silent Generation, Baby Boomers, or was that Gen X? Born after World War II. Those were the Baby Boomers, although it could be Gen X, way after World War II. Who created and starred in the hit TV show The Twilight Zone? Rod Serling, Vincent Price, or Burgess Meredith? That would be Rod Serling. Which political leader resigned in 1955? Charles de Gaulle, Nikita Khrushchev, or was it Winston Churchill? Which one resigned? Winston Churchill resigned in 1955. The song Will You Be Mine is better known as Earth Angel, Chances are, or Diana. Will You Be Mine, better known as Earth Angel. Which country did China invade in 1950? Did they invade Taiwan, Tibet, or Mongolia? China invaded Tibet in 1950. Come on, give it back. In what year did the Civil Rights Movement start? 1954, 1956, or 1959? The Civil Rights Movement, it started in 1954. C.S. Lewis wrote which book in 1950? Prince Caspian, The Great Divorce, or The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? Which one was written in 1950? It was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, although the other two are fantastic. Who directed the 1956 movie The Man Who Knew Too Much? Alfred Hitchcock, Elia Kazan, or Ingmar Bergman? Who directed the movie? It was directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Squaresville is a 50s slang term that means something is foresighted, agreed upon, or uncool. If it is Squaresville, it is uncool. Which Casablanca star died in 1957 of cancer? Ingrid Bergman, Humphrey Bogart, or Peter Lorre? And that actor was Humphrey Bogart. What was singer Buddy Holly's real name? Martin, Harlan, or Charles? Buddy Holly's real name was Charles. What was the highest grossing Disney movies of the 1950s? Cinderella, Snow White, or Alice in Wonderland? Which one made the most money? Before expenses. That would be Cinderella. Which actor died in a car crash at the age of just 24? Monty Clift, James Dean, or Sal Mineo? Dying in a car crash at just 24? That was James Dean. So young. The first hydrogen bomb was dropped in 1952. Where was the test site? Los Alamos, Mojave Desert, or the Marshall Islands? The guinea pig for the first atomic bomb drop was the Marshall Islands. Which George Orwell novel was made into a movie in 1954? Animal Farm, Inside the Whale, or 1984? And that would be Animal Farm. The 1952 Summer Olympics was held in which country? Sweden, Finland, or Japan? And it was held in Finland. Good to the last drop is a 1950 slogan of which company? Budweiser, Schweppes, or Maxwell House? Good to the last drop. Maxwell House. Hey, that gives me an idea. In what year did the color TV go on sale? 1954, 1956, or 1957? And they went on sale starting in 1954. From what U.S. state were the singing group the Andrews Sisters from? Were they from Kentucky, Minnesota, or were they from Chicago, Illinois? The Andrews sisters are from Minnesota. Which of these animals went extinct in the 1950s? The Thai tree frog. Was it the Chinese paddlefish? Or was it the Japanese sea lion? Which one went extinct in the 1950s? That would be the Japanese sea lion. Which of these was first invented in 1958? The breathalyzer, the electric razor, or the X-ray machine? Which one was invented in 1958? And that would be the breathalyzer. How many countries signed the 1959 Antarctic Treaty? 9 countries, 12 countries, or 16 countries? How many countries signed it? 12 countries. Who played the lead actor in several Alfred Hitchcock movies? Was it William Holden, Troy Donahue, or Jimmy Stewart? Several Hitchcock movies. That was James Stewart. Finish the title of this TV show. Leave it to Beaver? Leave it to Father? Or is it Leave It to Me? Well, of course. Leave it to Beaver. A Great Day in Harlem was what? Was that a jazz festival, a jazz photograph, or a jazz revival? A Great Day in Harlem. That was a jazz photograph. What style of art became popular in the 1950s? Minimalist art, performance art, or pop art? Which one of those became popular in the 50s? And that would be pop art. Marilyn Monroe starred in which of these movies? Some Like It Hot, All About Eve, or The Last Time I Saw Paris? Marilyn Monroe. She starred in Some Like It Hot. A poodle is a type of what female garment? Is it a hat? Is it a skirt? Or is it shoes? Poodle hat, poodle skirt, poodle shoes. Well, in reality, it's a poodle skirt, but it does give me ideas now. Who is known as the Big O? George Orwell, Robert Osborne, or Roy Orbison? Who is the Big O? And the Big O is Roy Orbison. Singer Sam Cooke was shot and killed by whom? Aretha Franklin, Bertha Franklin, or Irma Franklin? Who shot and killed Sam Cooke? It was Bertha Franklin. Elvis Presley checked into what hotel? The Lonesome Hotel, the Heartbreak Hotel, or the Rock and Roll Hotel? Oh, he checked into Heartbreak Hotel. Who is often referred to as the Killer? Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., or Jerry Lee Lewis? Which one of those was nicknamed the Killer? Great balls of fire, it was Jerry Lee Lewis. A Bel Air was a model of which car? The Cadillac, the Chevrolet, or the Buick? The Bel Air, also known as the Chevrolet Bel Air. Which artist sang the hit song Cry, Cry, Cry? Was that Johnny Cash? Was it Nat King Cole? Or was it Bobby Darin? And that was sung by Johnny Cash. Who played the lead actress role in the movie Dial M for Murder? Gloria Graham, Elizabeth Taylor, or was that Grace Kelly? The lead actress for Dial M for Murder was Grace Kelly. What was the name of the first explorer to reach the summit of Mount Everest? Edmund Hillary, Francis Hunt, or Heinrich Harrer? And the first explorer to summit Mount Everest? Edmund Hillary. High Noon was a 1952 cowboy movie starring which actor? John Wayne, Gary Cooper, or Kirk Douglas? High Noon starred Gary Cooper. What was the name of the iconic 1955 Porsche sports car? The Thunderbird, the Coupe, or the Spider? And the 55 Porsche sports car was the Spider. Which of these popular writers did not die in the 1950s? George Orwell, Robert Howard, or George Bernard Shaw? Who did not die in the 50s? Robert E. Howard did not die in the 50s. Peanut M&Ms were invented in what year? 1954, 1955, or 1959? Peanut M&Ms. They were invented in 1954. Finish the 1955 movie title. The Night of the. Is it the Night of the Living Dead, the Night of the Invaders, or the Night of the Hunter? It was the Night of the Hunter in 55. A baked Alaska is a type of what? Is it a casserole? Is it a cake? Or is it a beverage? A baked Alaska. That would be a type of cake. Which country won the 1954 Rugby World Cup? Was it Great Britain? Was it France? Or was it Australia? The 54 Rugby World Cup. That was won by Team Great Britain. True or false? A Studebaker is a type of 1950s men's suit. Is that true? Or is that just plain silly? A Studebaker. That's false. Everyone knows a Studebaker is a car. And question 100. Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night is a quote from which movie? The Searchers, On the Waterfront, or All About Eve? Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night. That is a quote from the movie All About Eve. And that's it. That's 100 questions. Thank you for playing Quiz Time. Drop your score in the comments, please. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be there when the next video comes out. And we can't wait to see you then. Bye-bye.